bring in my guests. We are joined with the man himself, Arnaud Develay. Arnaud, he is author, political analyst, and international lawyer specializing in international criminal law. His book, Foreign Entanglements, Biden, Ukraine, and the Fracturing of America's Political Consensus. Welcome to the show, my man. How you doing today? You doing all right?
I'm doing fine. It's a little humid here in Moscow. It feels like we got to take a shower every 5 minutes.
It has been
I'm
90.
so sick of it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I just see. Don't mind it. It's been over 90 every day here. Going for ever since I've been here.
No, I mean the high temperatures are okay. It's just the humidity is like in the 90%. You know?
The constant sweating.
Yeah, it's like
constant sweating.
Anyhow,
it's okay. Yeah. Everybody gets used to it, and everybody just sits there and sweat together, and you're just kind of more forgiving of your fellow man for just sweating anyway. I brought you on because I'm super curious about what's going on in Moscow in regards to Donald Trump's quote unquote ultimatum. And I was going through part of it, this idea that patriots are on the way, and people are like, okay, where are you getting those patriots from? How are you getting 17? You can't replace them. So how do you expect somebody else to give them up when everybody is already strapped for the patriots that they have? And then to add insult to injury, this idea, well, Europe is going to just buy our weapons. And Europe is like, no, we're not. So France, Italy, Czech Republic, Hungary, these countries are like, no, we're not. Amsterdam's unclear. Netherlands, I know Amsterdam's not a country, but they haven't necessarily signed on to it yet either. Meaning many of these countries have told Trump to F off. You think you're slick. You just want to sell American weapons to us in order to give to Ukraine. You think you're slick. You're turning this into a business deal. The UK is stupid enough to do it, and apparently Germany is stupid enough to do it. But other states, not so much. So Donald Trump came out with this big speech. Nobody believes the 100% ultimatum. And the other part of the ultimatum, or the other part of it where you're giving weapons, that is unclear on how you're even going to do it. What is going on in Moscow? How does Moscow see this? I mean, are they shaking in their boots? Are they terrified? Is Putin freaking out on air because he's scared of Donald Trump, or is Putin just completely unfazed by any of this? Because I haven't even heard a response from Putin yet.
Well, there you go. You haven't heard a response means that the latter will be actually the answer, meaning they're unfazed. They're, if anything, they're amused. I mean, if we can be amused when someone who allegedly heads one of the most nuclear-armed power in the world, is all over the place. Yeah, I think we're just witnessing a U.S. administration, a presidency that has crashed out before it even began. And in between the lines, that's really what's going on, and that's really, really worrying, if you ask me. Because what else is he left with?
Explain that.
Well, because obviously the guy, they've got something on him. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to presume or speculate on what's going on here, but they've got him. They've got him, and this is not he doesn't have the same swagger as he used to have.
Wait. You lost me on this. Who is they? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Who is they? You mean neocons?
Well, what about you? The neocons, the deep states, the Zionist lobby, most likely the Zionist lobby, actually, if you ask me, if I were to, throw a guess out there, yes. I think but they're all the same fellow travelers, neocons, military industrial complex, Zionist lobby, they're all part, it's part for the same. I mean, all of them are pretty much, on agreement on 70% of U.S. foreign policy. Yeah. And so now we have, so we have the Epstein 180, decree, which really took everybody by surprise, starting with his own base, which to this day is split right down the middle, and it's not getting any better. It's getting so bad, actually, that the Democrats, whom we assumed were at the bottom of the hole, actually are now presenting themselves as the champions of transparency. And so now, even though they don't have the votes in Congress, they're going out of their way trying to get this release adopted. So
Yeah.
it's a clown world, as somebody would be fond of saying. It's a clown. It's actually it's a cluster F, if you ask me, the whole thing. And the problem is when you've got a conflict in Europe, which is somewhat getting more. It's like right before you get to conclude that you need to amputate, we have this kind of gangrene. So the situation is really turning into gangrene now because on paper it's a done deal, militarily speaking, but for some reason that they just don't want to let it go. And so now we're getting into this kind of uncharted territories because it makes no sense whatsoever. And at the same time, the person who might be the best situated to unilaterally, and this is what he ran on, put an end to it, and keep saying himself that people have got to stop dying. Well, man, the ball is in your court. I mean, what kind of intelligence are you being fed? Just make the make the call. But even that now, we actually we're more Biden than Biden himself in this
Yeah.
particular context. So we have the West Asia, situation, which is obviously on standby, but it will get out of control anytime now, again, in the foreseeable future, for sure, before his administration is over. If anything, because he's given them everything they wanted and some, so they will definitely milk out MAGA for what it's worth. But
Hmm.
they even got a an extra, because now the guy is actually. I mean, I don't know if the rhetoric will be followed by action. You mentioned in your introduction that obviously the Europeans are tired. At least some of them are at least tired of being taken out for a ride, and so they're trying now to exploit this political weakness, and the optics of it to somehow buy themselves a new suit, in terms of their own population. Yeah, because the
Yeah.
first 3 months, I mean, they were getting hammered by Trump. All of them, succeeded into the Oval Office to get spanked by the Don, and now we're looking at an all different situation. I mean, the configuration, the complexion of the situation has changed from top to bottom. It's unbelievable. I mean, who would have thought, back when he got sworn in, that a mere 6 months later we'd be where we are now. But at the same time, this is a guy who's completely coyed now. He's been castrated, and he's all like a. I mean, you see some of the journalists keep on harping about the release of the Epstein file, and he doesn't
Right.
even seem like he's fighting now. He's like, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about. The guy is like, it's pathetic, The big beautiful bill just blew up in his face. He's now presented as unreliable as can be. I mean, he's betraying people left, right, and center. And the internet never forgets anything. So if we just talk about the Epstein situation, his own
Yep.
son said that
Yep.
scumbags should be going to jail. Your
Yeah.
own blood, man.
By the
So this
way,
brings me. Yeah,
Pam Bondi fired the prosecutor that prosecuted Epstein.
Da Costa.
Yeah. Well, no, not
The
Acosta. It was another for the State Department. They fired because Acosta gave a
uh-huh.
sweetheart deal. They went after Epstein under the Trump administration. The woman
Right.
that went after Epstein, the Trump administration fired that woman. They like
Are
just
you
did it
talking
yesterday.
about Comey? Is that Comey's the daughter?
Oh, I don't
Because she
know.
was
I don't know if
fired
this is
too.
the was
Yeah,
she?
Jim Comey's daughter. Yeah, she was at DOJ and she just got fired. So that might be the same person.
Wow.
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry. Please continue though. I'm sorry.
So yeah. So anyways, so this whole thing looks completely. It's like a clown show. I mean, it really is. So the big beautiful bill. It's going to endear the country even more. But I guess that's the game plan, right? It's go Keynesian economics
Yeah.
with a vengeance, hoping that somehow it leads to an economic spurt. But I mean, investors are not very confident.
They
We
shouldn't
have
be.
this whole shenanigan with the tariff. The guy doesn't seem to understand the most basic tenets about how tariff works.
Right.
And now we hear, he even goes to bat for Lindsey Graham with this stupid 100% tariff rate, secondary sanctions on anybody and their mother who deals, with Russia. So just, I don't know, man. This is,
I think,
I don't know what to think.
I
But
think
it's scary. It's scary. It's a
I
scary
think,
situation
I think we're seeing.
because he needs a
You know
W
what
and
I think it
fast.
is? I'll tell you what I think it is. I think we have an American president who has this mantle of this burden of hegemony, this burden of I'm the president of the United States, I'm the leader of the free world. Meaning that stuff gets in your head. And then you're confronted with the reality where you have little power in the process. So how do I compel Russia to do something they don't want to do when I just lost the war? How do I do that? Well, you can't do it. And so you have to puff up your chest. I'm going to 50 days. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to pass sanctions. I'm going to do this. Okay. Well, they had like 16,000 sanctions on Russia. And so you're going to
30,000.
pass another one. Yeah. Some insane number, right? And so, but the media and the way that the media treats you as a president is with this assumed point of view that you can do something about anything. It's like, Mr. President, there's an asteroid that's coming. What are we doing about it? It's like, what the hell do you think I'm going to do about an asteroid about to hit the Earth? Right? But that's the way they talk to the president. So they say, Mr. President, Putin is still attacking Ukraine, and he hit him with 700 drones. What are you going to do about it? What do you say? What do you say?
I'm really hungry with Putin. I'm very hungry.
Right. I need a hamburger. Like, you can't say anything. There's nothing you can do. And it's like, well, we're going to send 17 Patriots. You mean the Patriots that didn't work to stop the Iranian missile that hit the base at, what is it, Al-Dud or Al-Quds base? Or not Al-Quds base,
Al-Uday.
Al-Quds.
Al-Uday. Yeah.
Right.
No, it's
like
16 Patriots.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, or 14 or what. But it's
they don't even know
ridiculous.
where they're coming from. They don't even know if he means Patriot batteries, missiles. They don't know what he means. Like, it's absurd. And I guess my point is, if you're Trump, what do you do when you know you can't do anything? That's his position. That's what I think the position is. That's why I think he looks so crazy right now. It's like, hey, Trump, what
And
about
that it's ironic because we are fond of saying about the U.S. presidency that it's the most powerful pulpit in the world.
Yes.
Always imagine it's like Jerry West is the logo of the NBA.
Yes.
And the U.S. presidency is like the logo of influencing as a concept, right?
Yep.
You get the guy behind the lectern like this lectern, and haranguing, and obviously the voice carries out to the four corners of the world. But now, for the first time, you think actually the guy will want to crawl under a rock because there's not one file, one dossier that is going his way. I mean, the economics, whatever the plan is, Jerome Powell doesn't want to lower the rates, right?
Yeah.
So there's a big tug of war here, and that gets in the way of his economic strategy. In the meantime, he's trying to take on the whole world about tariff when he doesn't understand that the U.S. economy is completely unmeshed in neoliberal policies for the last 30 years, which basically have disarmed it. You have to have as he says, the cards to be able to play like this and carry a big stick and talk loud to people. And I think it's funny because in a way, this is something that I think it's Michael Wolff, the guy who wrote The Bonfire of the Vanity. Was it him?
Uh-huh.
He was saying, this is a topic, for a new book, an updated version, or a Gore Vidal, a book about Americana and the delusion of the loss of power, coming to terms with the loss of power.
Yes.
This is not, we're not even 20 years ago. And the Trump communications skill set exemplifies this kind of almost to a caricatural level, because he's talking as if he's completely disconnected from reality, and so it's sad in a way, because we want America. Everybody the world over, likes America. America has had this. They have their demons, to be sure, but America has to be sure. But every country has their own, dark pages. But I'm just saying, America has completely redefined world collective imagination during the
Yeah,
20th century. No matter what we think about it, And so seeing this whole thing just coming crashing down in such a fracas, and the more it's interesting because the more vocal, the more noisy the fracas, the less impactful in a way it is followed in as
agree,
far as concrete actions behind it. They don't
agree.
have the means, in other words, of their bravado. It's gone. They're
Also,
broke.
you
The country
highlight
is
it.
broke. Say what?
Well, I'm just saying. Also, you highlight it. Like, meaning when you tell somebody, "Hey, you need to do this," and they say "f off," you highlight the fact that you don't have the fucking power.
That's the worst. They don't say anything. They just smile wryly.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of amused. If they said F off, that would mean that they're, somewhat backed against the corner, and they're desperate and they're trying to, look good, even though they're about to die, But here they were just bemused from a distance. We're not even paying attention anymore because it's every day.
yeah,
When you are president of the United States, you have to be very economic of how you distribute and dispatch the presidential word,
yeah,
so that it carries, when you do use it, it carries something, whether through a solemn speech to the nation at 8 p.m. on the networks, or, but the key of it is, you have to use it very sparsely. And in this day and age, with all the, social platform, and I mean, the guy's got his own network, his own
yeah,
platform. So he doesn't even bother with the customary use of readouts, and State Department will do the talking for me, right? The guy is all over the place. He's not a
yeah,
president. He's an hyper president. He's a
yeah,
president on steroid. But the problem is, although he's on steroid, it's all about words, and it's like the guy's an empty suit. And Putin said it to his own advisor some years back. He said the problem with the U.S. System is that a guy is replaced by another guy, and in the end, before you know it, within a few days after the election, you've got a bunch of faceless suits coming to see him and basically tell him, okay, this is the game plan. This is how it's going to be played.
yeah.
And
It's like I
and
know what you
it
said,
would
but
be
this is how it's going to be
it
done.
would
Yeah,
it would behoove you to follow the game plan and be a team player,
I'm
or
curious.
else.
Also,
And I think he
I,
got the or else,
while I
I
have,
don't know. They reminded him of something, but he looks completely scared out of his wits. Maybe they threatened him. They threatened his kids. They showed him, some pics, the compromising pics. I mean, now you're thinking about what Musk used to say a few months back, and it echoes with even more force now.
that he's on the list. He's in the files. I'm curious on something else. So the Washington Post, Financial Times all came out and said that Donald Trump was considering allowing Ukraine to hit Moscow or even St. Petersburg with long-range missiles. And apparently, when he asked Zelensky, "Hey, do you have the capability of hitting Moscow?" Zelensky said, "Give me the weapons, I'll do it." And Trump said, "Also go after St. Petersburg." Okay. Now, when Donald Trump was asked this directly, and I got to be honest, there's no way that he would answer this question honestly. So you could take this for what it's worth. But when he was asked directly, he said this.
He shouldn't target Moscow.
Is it
We
Moscow?
talked to
Should
Moscow.
Zelensky target Moscow, sir? Should Zelensky target Moscow or deeper into Russia?
No, he shouldn't target Moscow.
Okay. So now he's saying you shouldn't target Moscow. So they're saying that either Washington Post or, for the matter, Financial Times got it wrong. I don't think Financial Times got it wrong. I think, if anything, it is a wink and a nod that Donald Trump is acting kind of like with Operation Spiderweb, where he's like, I had no idea that they were going to murder people on a train. I had no idea that they were going to do these terrorist activities. Oh my God. Or the same thing with Israel, right? I had no idea that Israel was going to attack Iran while we were negotiating. I had no idea. And now it's, no, I don't think they should do it at all. I don't think they should attack Petersburg or Moscow at all. He's in a problem, right? Like, you want Russia to accept your deal. Russia has told you that we're not accepting your stupid deal. open to negotiate, but these are the things that we need. You either take it or you don't. Okay, so Donald Trump can't make any movement on that. Giving additional weapons is not going to do anything to it. So how do you get it to move? It's that part. And I don't know an answer to that. And I would wager he doesn't either, short of escalating in some way, in a way that he may think in his mind, okay, if I can make this more damaging for Russia, then maybe they'll be willing to take my terms, since up to this point they're not willing to do so. Or do you think that's too provocative, even for Donald Trump? And by the way, one last thing, what do you think Russia would do if indeed missiles from the US does hit Moscow? Because I would wager to you that the US is waging, Russia's not going to do anything from the standpoint of US interests. And this could be the last question.
Well, I think the problem is that in allowing such extremist statements to be made at the highest level of the US system of government, then you open you move the Overton window in such a place that people who are acting behind the scenes and sometimes pressing buttons without you getting necessarily informed about it, they can somehow act on such policy, keeping in mind that, you know, it came from the top down. I mean, it was uttered publicly.
Yeah.
You see, it creates this kind of tolerance for the most extreme steps to be implemented. Whereas if he was really clear about certain things, you know, red line type clear, and even admonishing ahead of time anybody who might get this idea that, you know, doing such a thing as targeting Moscow or St. Petersburg, and they can do it with tomahawks. You can put nuclear warheads on tomahawks, by the way. You don't need the Patriots. You can do it with tomahawks. So if he gives tomahawks to the guy, a very guy who to whom he was belittling a mere 4 months ago in the Oval Office, was like the big dressing down, and now the roles are reversed, as if the guys come under the spell of the Green Goblin. You know, I don't know, but
yeah.
The problem is when you start talking like this, even though you may somehow relent, you know, later on when asked again, but people think, well, I mean, he's said it, you know, he's somewhat playing with the notion, but he's not completely excluding it. And so that gives a lot of ideas to people within the more, you know, inner strata of the U.S. State Department. I mean, you know that same crowd, you know, the get Russia type of crowd, and you know they can say, hey, you know, we were under the understanding that we had to teach Putin a lesson because he doesn't want to, you know, play ball, you know, i.e., consider ceasefire without any condition, which is, again, it's a non-starter. But you know,
nonsense.
Yeah. So this is a dangerous part to me. This is where we are, and I really feel like this is really getting out of control here. I mean, in Moscow, Peskov says, you know, well, we haven't heard certain things that you are relating or alluding to. We are trying to, you know, get more clarification, or, you know, a lot of things are being said. It doesn't necessarily mean that he said them. They're trying to put a veneer on it. They're trying not to be rattled. They're trying not to be showing as if, you know, it's affecting them in any way, shape, or form. They're staying stoic as much as possible. But I'm sure at the meetings of the Security Council, there's a, you know, those issues are addressed, and people are probably feeling, you know,
some pressure.
And you know, anything is possible with the Americans. I mean, we might have thought for a short while that this guy might deliver, you know, some kind of out on this Ukraine conflict. But obviously, they're saying what you and I are saying. They've got something on him. They, i.e., the deep state, right? The little faceless suit men. They've got something on him. Because it's one thing not to release the Epstein files, but now you're going to back on the Ukraine, which was also one of the main campaign promise, by the way. It defined your electoral win. You know, I'll put an end to the Ukraine, the useless. It would have never happened under my watch. That's what he said. Kept repeating it. It's Biden's war.
I know.
And the guy is about, you know, it's crazy. So this, you know, That's my take on the whole thing. Yeah, this is
Well, 30
and
seconds.
here.
How would
Yeah.
Moscow respond? I mean, because there's a question about if that happens, what would Moscow do? I mean, Germany has pulled back their Taurus missiles, so they're not even sending Taurus missiles anymore. Now it's just the U.S.
Well, Russia does not. They're trying not to get caught in a reacting mode. They're anticipating, so they'll kill the whole thing in the eggs. So it's all going to come down to intelligence, trying to locate those vectors before they even enter the Ukrainian theater of
I see.
operation,
I
and
see.
send a slew of Kingzal or Zircoin or whatever, just obliterate them before they even get set up for launching.
I see.
But
I see.
it's a dicey situation, because if your intelligence is faulty, all it takes is one vector to be armed and sent, calibrated to go and land on a major urban center. And here you really have a hot war between NATO and Russia. If
Oh,
that's ultimately, yeah, because I mean, it's politically you don't come back from that.
Arnaud Develay, my man. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you for this. Arnaud Develay, he's an
Thank you.
author, political analyst, international lawyer specializing in international criminal law. His latest book, Foreign Entanglements, Biden, Ukraine, and the Fracturing of America, Political Consensus. We're going to have to get you to write another book on Trump. Basically, they got someone.
Yes.
Like, we got more.
Trump part 2.
All right. You have a good one, man. Be safe. Thank you.